If you just started working in Australia and don't know what superannuation is, this video is for you. I'll break it down simply of what I know about superannuation, no jargon, no finance degree needed to understand this, because at the start it was super complicated for me to understand it as a person who just moved to Australia to study and then went on to work here. So let's start with what is superannuation. Basically, it's a retirement fund or savings. So your employer sets aside a certain percentage of your income into a separate fund, and you can't access it until retirement, which is usually around the age of 60 plus here, except in limited cases. So how much super do you actually get? As of July 1st, 2025, employers must contribute at least 12% of your ordinary earnings into your super fund. And some employers might be more generous and offer you a higher percentage. I know some of the universities do that here. And keep in mind, it doesn't come from your pay, it's on top of your wage. So when you're negotiating salary with a potential employer, you can say, for example, I want 70k plus super. So that means they have to pay you 70k and that gets taxed. And on top of that, they're going to pay super into your super fund. Or some employers might just say, our salary range is 70 to 80k, including super. So if you get offered 70k, that includes that super that they'll have to pay into your super account. Now, when do you start getting super? Because it just sounds like a great incentive. So generally, if you're 18 plus, you qualify. But even if you're below the age of 18, you get it if you work more than 30 hours per week, I believe. But obviously don't quote me on that. Just going off of my knowledge, do your own research, and every job you go for will have a clause for superannuation. So look into that. Now, how do you choose a super fund, or does it get assigned to you? That is a super important question. Now, you can tell your employer which super fund to use. Now, I didn't have one when I started my first job, so they can choose for you by default, but don't let them choose by default if you can help it. Especially if you already have one, don't have them open another one, because there is fees for that, and I didn't know that. So compare fees of different super funds. There are a lot of different companies that offer super accounts and super funds, and look at their long-term performance via websites like Super Ratings or ATO My Super comparison tool. Industry super funds like Australian Super, Australian Retirement Trust often have lower fees than retail funds. And if you do end up opening different super accounts, what happens then? What if you have multiple super accounts? So in this case, you may be paying multiple fees and insurance premium if your super account includes that, and you can easily combine them in your MyGov super account via the ATO, or simply through your super funds company. You can request they consolidate the super funds that you have open and just reduce the amount of fees you're paying if that's what you want to do. And I did that because I had no idea what my super was and what it was doing. And you may keep having multiple accounts opened if you know why, like if one of them is offering you more insurance and it has better incentives for you for your retirement. And basically what happens in the super fund is they invest that money the way that you tell them, so that it grows over time till your retirement, because inflation is real. You know, the dollar cost isn't the same now than it would be when you're 60. It just wouldn't be the same. So there's no point just putting it there. It has to earn interest and it has to grow, and you can either choose the safe route, which is the default, I think, where it has a standard rate of growth that it would offer you. But there's also high growth options, which are a bit risky because it's still like investing, but it is your retirement fund. So be careful with it. Only choose that, or a percentage of your super in that if you're comfortable. And some people even wonder, can I add to my super account? And yes, you can voluntarily contribute part of your income or savings to boost your retirement savings. You can use salary sacrificing to reduce your taxable income. So if you choose to salary sacrifice your income that is exclusive of super, obviously you get tax less on the amount you're receiving, because it's not the same as if that amount was included in that. But obviously you don't get to access it for yourself anytime soon, and only in certain circumstances. You can also choose to contribute your after-tax income and claim a deduction later. And always check what's covered in your super fund and whether you want to keep it. You can reassess different super funds, especially if you're young and want to maximize your savings over time. Many funds also have incentives like life insurance, TPD, and income protection. So look into that as well and see what suits you. And now for the question of, can you access your super early, or what are the circumstances in which you can do that? It's very rare. It's only during severe financial hardship, like events like COVID. I know some people did that then. Or when you're facing terminal illness, obviously you would need to access your savings in that time. And under the First Home Super Saver scheme, so look into that as well if you're planning to buy your first home. Otherwise, you have to wait till retirement age. And lastly, why should you care about super? I've given you all this information, but what are you going to do with it really? Is it really helpful? Well, for example, 10k invested at the age of 25 could grow to 60k or 70k by retirement, and that's really powerful. The earlier you understand it, the more control you have over your future, especially your financial future during retirement. Now, adulting in Australia is hard enough. We have one of the highest costs of living. Understanding your super shouldn't be a mystery. I attended a few seminars that were at my work about super, and that helped me get super educated on that, and talking to multiple people, because it is a part of your financial life here. So talk to people, talk to a professional also if you need professional help. I've made other videos about money habits, how to start your business, freelancing, about how to start side hustles in Australia, so look into those as well if you're interested in topics about finance in Australia. And let me know which other videos you'd like me to make. I'm posting almost every day on here about life in Australia, moving here, studying here, working here, self-development, and some pop culture news in there. So stick around, follow me on Instagram to view more of my Australian life, and I'll see you next time.